Hi Year 2, this week our story is around Anansi and the moss-covered rock, and like usual there are two sessions for you to have a go at. Now, lots of you may have actually heard of the character of Anansi before, because he's a very famous character in Akan folklore. He often takes the shape of a spider and is sometimes to be considered as the god of all knowledge of stories. He often takes the role of being a bit of a trickster. And in school, some of us I know have read a story which contains the character of Anansi already, so you might have a good idea of the sort of character he already is. Now, the words that we might come across in this story are words that I think you'll probably already know, but we'll just go through them just in case. So the characters we meet are going to be Anansi himself, then we've got a lion, a snake and a little deer. Then objects that we might come across include a rock, a pineapple, moss, stones, bush, watermelon, forest and bananas. Now at the end of the session, I'm going to ask you to make a prediction about what you think is going to happen. Now to make a prediction, you need to really think carefully about what has already happened in the text and use possible clues that are hidden in there to be able to make a good prediction. It's not just a random guess. Let's hear the story and then we can discuss that question that I'm going to set at the end.
One evening, Anansi was out walking in the forest when he tripped over something. It was a large rock, covered in deep green moss. "What a surprise," said Anansi. "Isn't this a strange, moss-covered rock?" Crash, bang! At that very moment, Anansi dropped on all 8 of his legs to the forest floor. His eyes rolled and everything went black. Anansi slept and slept and slept. And when he finally awoke, the sun was shining. Anansi scratched his head. There could only be one explanation. He must have been asleep for a whole night and a day. "What happened?" Anansi muttered as he tried to remember. "The rock caught my attention. Then I said, 'Isn't this a strange, moss-covered rock?'" Crash, bang! It happened again. Anansi's 8 legs flopped under him, and he slept and slept and slept. When Anansi woke this time, he knew exactly what had happened. The rock is magical. Every time someone says those words, which I don't dare repeat, they fall into a deep sleep, lasting one whole night and a day. Suddenly he felt rather excited. Aha! This gives me an idea for how I can get a free meal. And I can't wait to try it. Anansi went in search of Snake and found him curled up by some stones guarding his dinner, a lovely juicy pineapple. "Good day, Snake. I know how much you like to shelter from the sun. Come for a walk with me in the cool, dark forest." Snake felt a bit suspicious. After all, everyone knew about Anansi and his tricks. But still he liked the idea of a walk in the cool forest. So he replied, "I will indeed come with you." Anansi led Snake through the forest, all the way to the magical rock. "What's this?" he said to Snake. Snake took a good look. "Isn't this a strange, moss-covered rock?" Crash, bang! As soon as the words came from Snake's mouth, he flopped down fast asleep. Anansi knew Snake wouldn't wake up for one whole night and a day, and that gave him plenty of time to go back to Snake's home and gobble up his pineapple. When Snake finally woke up, Anansi was nowhere to be seen. And how Snake hissed with anger as he returned home to find he'd been tricked. Anansi was delighted, but he was still hungry and couldn't wait to play his trick again. So this time he went in search of Lion and found her resting under a bush, a pile of bananas between her paws. "Oh, Lion, it is hot today, isn't it? But I have found a lovely cool place where you can rest in comfort. Come for a walk with me in the forest." Lion too was a bit suspicious, but she replied, "I will indeed come with you." Anansi led Lion through the forest, all the way to the magical rock. "What's this?" he said to Lion. Lion took a good look. Grrr. "Isn't this a strange, moss-covered rock?" Crash, bang! As soon as the words came from Lion's mouth, she fell down fast asleep, giving Anansi plenty of time to go back to her bush and gobble up her bananas. One whole night and day later, when Lion woke up, Anansi was nowhere to be seen. And how Lion roared with anger when she returned home to find her bananas gone. Grrr. Of course, Anansi was delighted. The trick was working so well, but he was still hungry. So who should he trick next?
So that is part one of the story. I hope you enjoyed it so far. So what I want you to think about is what is going to happen in the second part of the story. Now, if we go back to the vocabulary that we might meet, you can see there are some things that we haven't met yet in the story. So this could help you with your prediction about thinking about what could happen next. I also want you to think about, do you think Anansi is going to get away with his trickster ways? He seems to enjoy tricking those animals and stealing their food, but do you think some other characters that we might meet are going to be as easy to trick? We'd love to hear your predictions or see them, so remember to write them down or send us a video of you telling us your predictions to our Year 2 email address, and then when you finish that task, you can find out if you were right by looking at part 2 of the story. Enjoy the task, Year 2.